Hello scientists, I'm Aegis Wolf. Welcome back to the gaming facility. This is episode 2 in a let's play of Abiotic Factor, which is coming out on both PlayStation and Xbox on the 22nd of July. It is also part of the PlayStation Plus store release stuff, so you'll be able to pick it up for free if you're on PlayStation. I'm not sure if anything like that is happening on Xbox because I own a PS5, not a Xbox. Some of the stuff, as far as like the controls that you see here, will be from the PC, because I've had this on PC for quite a while. But I'm going through and doing a bit of a let's play, just so that newer players coming to the game will be able to get a bit of an understanding of what the early gameplay mechanics are like, and things to keep in mind. So, now, following on from the previous episode, we finished up talking to Dr. Jaeger, and he needs us to make an energy brick to open the cafeteria doors for him. I'm actually going to do a couple of things before I do that. So, coming in here, this gives us a couple of new recipes. But yeah, what I'm going to do is do one or two things before I open up the door for him. We've got our first blunt weapon here as well. Now you can level this up with both attacking enemies will level up your blunt weaponry, but also attacking breakable objects like computers and computer screen monitors and that kind of stuff. As you can see, will also level up your blunt weapon melee in the top left hand corner there. Now we're going to need these items to make the energy brick to let Dr. Jaeger in, but I'm actually going to be making a crafting bench, which I need to make anyway for that. I'm also going to be making this vacuum cleaner first as well, using the items that we've picked up. The reason that I'm doing this is these objects here will respawn if you, as far as I know, if you don't have enough to make the energy brick for this, so that you're not soft locked into this area. When most people start playing the game, from what I've seen, they tend to build sort of in this area here, in this little kitchen area, and put a workbench sort of around here. I used to do that, but I actually prefer to sort of set up out here, where it's got a bit more space for you to move around in. I also like to close that off, so I'm on this side, just like that closed. We may have heard, yeah, there's some items that are sort of respawning already. But we'll come over here, come to our crafting, and we're going to make a crafting bench. So now we need duct tape, put some away. Yep, so we need duct tape as well. So we'll make the crafting bench first. Now the crafting bench is going to be home base of a lot of our setup. So it's actually where our sort of safe zone radiates from. So when I place that down, I'll take the screwdriver that I picked up in the last episode. This is used to actually construct all of the blueprints that you will place down. You'll see that the crafting bench has a little power icon there. That means it needs to be plugged in. We just come to the power socket, click on that, and then click on that. So now we are going to have to build a battery fairly soon before night time, because the power goes off at night. It goes off at 8 PM. Now it is 7 AM, and for anyone who saw the previous episode, it was 7 AM in the previous episode as well. Time actually doesn't start ticking over until you place the energy brick in here. What that means is that we can actually use this to our advantage a little bit, because the computers in here will respawn, and that gives us the opportunity to be able to make some more stuff before nighttime kicks in and the power goes out. So we can sort of set ourselves up a little bit more effectively through that entire process. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the vacuum cleaner. So with this needs the energy brick as well, and the energy brick requires these components. Now what I've done here, to click through there, I've picked the vacuum recipe. Any recipe ingredients that have this, any recipe ingredients that have this little icon here means it's a craftable item. And you can actually click on that item in the current recipe and it'll click through to the new recipe. And we see here, like, circuit boards have the same as well, so I can click through. I should be able to click through. Oh, I don't have the recipe yet. But when I do have the recipe, I can click through, and that'll take me through to that recipe. And then I can go to the previous recipe back here again. So we're just going to craft that, go back to the previous recipe, and now craft the vacuum cleaner. Now the vacuum cleaner requires energy to operate, so we need to put it on a recharging station. There is one out there on the other side of the double doors, of the cafeteria double doors, which we can't open just yet because we need an energy brick. Now, in order to get that energy brick, we're going to need to break...
You need to open the door.
Computers. Whoop, there they are. Perfect timing. So these computers that are respawned. Now that we've got these, we can create another energy brick. He's panicking because I've created the energy brick and it triggers the next bit. So what I can do now is I can craft an energy brick to actually use in there. The other thing that I'm going to do before I open that is I'm just going to come and get rid of a bunch of stuff out of my inventory, just so I'm not carrying it around unnecessarily. Let's put everything together. So some of the stuff I don't mind holding on to. I know I'm going to pick up more tech scrap. I know I'm going to pick up more metal scrap. And those kinds of things. So I don't mind holding on to those because that'll all get in the same stack anyway. Okay, let's see. So we've got... and yeah, some of this stuff has respawned as well.
Hurry!
So that's great. We can always do with more duct tape. Okay, so heading out from here, I barely have to keep most of this stuff on me. You don't need to take the screwdriver with you. It is handy to have the knife with you because we are going to come across some enemies, and we can actually cut those enemies up after we kill them to get meat from. Just have a look at my stats. Like, oh, my stats not too bad for hunger. And I'll just do that to clear it out of my inventory space. Cool. So let's go and open this.
You need to open the door.
This
now.
He's gonna die from this. And whoop, just press the buttons. And this actually spawns in a Peccary, which is sort of our first big enemy to worry about. Now they will charge up and actually charge at you. But they charge in a straight line, so they're normally fairly easy to avoid. You can throw a net on them and that will actually stop them in their tracks. And you can get a few hits in before they can start attacking you again. So these are fairly easy to deal with once you know what you're doing and how to manage it. This is some of the meat that the Peccaries drop again. So I'm just going to come and put this away in one of the cupboards. Now, one thing that we do want to pay attention to is both of these items are emitting low radiation, and you'll see that there are little white specks sort of appearing across the screen. That actually shows me that I'm being exposed to radiation. So I'm going to dump those items out, and as I move away, you'll see that those little specks disappear. So whereas when I get closer, you can see that they've started to crop up a little bit. Different containers have different levels of radiation dampening, so you can store radiated items in certain containers and you won't have the radiation issues to deal with. A couple of things I'm going to mention before we head out there. First is you've got the vending machine here. So the vending machine will actually take money, which we can see money is tracked here as a stat as opposed to an item. You'll get money from rifling through drawers and desks and that sort of stuff, and you can use it to spend on either the drinks vending machine or the snacks vending machine to help stay on top of your stats. So if there's anything else, the other thing is that there's the toilet back in here. We're not going to be utilizing that for the sake of using it for the toilet because of the weak bladder perk that we took, or weak bladder trait that we took. We're actually going to need to go to the toilet more often, but we will be able to use that in order to actually start our farming process, which makes life a little bit easier.
Attention. Enhanced security protocols are now
So this is
in
Warren.
effect.
Hi, Warren.
Please
I don't know
locate security
what's going
personnel and
They
follow
don't
evacuation
So Warren
procedures.
What?
will
On a good
trade
day,
items
and
with
this
you,
Isn't a good day, but
and he gives you a little bit of information as well as sort of directing you to what to do next in a couple of situations. Now this here is the charging station that he's talking about, the maps there. Charging station, so anything with a yellow bar at the bottom will require charging, and you can charge it here in these charging stations. You can also make charging stations later on in the game, but early on we are dependent on these for charging. So that's just charging at the moment. Now, the reason that I've got this is because this makes life a lot easier early on when we are going through into the office. So this takes a little bit to wrap your head around because it is a static map. And so it appears in under our journal. So this is a static map, and it can take a little bit of time to orientate yourself properly if you're not used to static maps, and work out where you are. But once you sort of get a gist of this area, it's fairly straightforward. This here is an unlimited source of water, but it is tainted, so it actually needs to be cooked off or filtered before we can drink it. If we drink it as it is, we'll actually get a sick debuff from it. But from here, I'm going to head up to the office, because that is going to give us a bunch of things that we need moving forward. So, in here, so this is one of the advantages of having vacuum cleaner, is you can actually suck up a peccary and then use it to fire at other peccaries. Now, the great thing about the vacuum cleaner is instead of having to break all these down annually with this and reducing the durability of the blunt weapon, I could switch over to the vacuum cleaner, and this will actually help break all this down much more quickly, which is really good when you are wanting to actually go through and focus on farming for items as opposed to trying to build a stat. So going through and picking all of this up makes life a lot easier. Now there is one more thing that I am going to do. We're going to go through and do a bit of farming in here. I am going to come through here down to this walkway, actually climb down here. Here we can find our first decent sized backpack. So there are other backpacks that you can get, but this is the best backpack that you can access early on in the game. It's a security backpack. We can equip that straight away, and this gives us an additional 9 slots to work with, which makes life a lot easier moving forward. The soil bag also gives us the farming plot blueprints, which is going to make life a lot easier as well. And we've got some screws that we've picked up there that help us with some building structure stuff. Okay, so I'm going to climb back up here. Going to come and pick up some more of these resources. I'm going to need a lot of these when I go back to my base and start building some more stuff. Now it is worth interacting with as many things as you can. A lot of new objects and a lot of new items will, as I think I've said this before, will give you access to blueprints or lore and unlock journal entries. And a lot of this really... oh, I think I'm being attacked. Yep. A lot of this really unlocks some pretty interesting information. So, okay. Whew, that kept me busy. So the reason that I tend not to use the weapons to break stuff down is the durability of them goes down reasonably quickly early on. The other thing is you get plenty of experience in combat to like level up the skills. As you can see, we've already got 2 levels in blunt. So I just prefer to focus on looting things in other ways if I can. So we'll see if we get a little bit more loot. What have we got? So there are a couple of items that I would like to have. So something that I do want access to is I want both these rubber band balls, and if I can find it, I would like to put that on there just for now. I would also like to find a stapler. So a stapler will give us access to our first decent ranged weapon, which is the office crossbow. It can be a little bit tricky to find them sometimes because they generate randomly containers. So sometimes take a little bit of looking around to actually find one. And we've unlocked a new pipe and some new blueprints. So as you go through and find more items, you will inevitably unlock more to craft. Having trouble finding stapler, which is unfortunate. There we go. So we've now found a stapler. So this will be useful for us going through and making that crossbow. So I'm going to head back to the base now, and we're going to be able to accomplish a few things with the items that we've got here now. Now there is one thing that I did pick up while I was out doing all this, which was some wood planks. The next little area that I'm going to, I'll be able to pick up some wood planks though, and that is going to help us immensely by allowing us to start crafting small containers. Put that stuff away. Okay, so this is where I'm going to wrap up this episode. We're at about the 20-minute mark, and I don't want to push it any longer than that. So when we come back from the next episode, we are going to be looking at making the crossbow, as well as making some of those supply crates so that we can start to store things and make it a little bit more of an organized base. We're also going to be building our first little bit of electrical infrastructure with both the batteries as well as the power strips to plug all of our supplies and equipment into. If you liked the video, click like, hit subscribe, do all the stuff. If you wanted to see any more of my previous Abiotic Factor content and tips and hint guides, then I will leave a link to the playlist of all my Abiotic Factor that I've covered previously. So, till next time, don't forget to be awesome.